Hello everyone, it's Douglas from Other Than Intended Purposes, Jack's behind the camera. Finally got back outside. You're going to want to watch this video all the way to the end because we have something special at the end of it. And I'm not going to give you any more clues. Today, we're not going to be reviewing a knife or taking a knife apart, although afterwards we're going to be cleaning a knife. I'm going to show a little skill that, if you have a couple of things with you, can make a huge difference in your comfort level and your ability to last out an unplanned camping trip, as I like to call them, if you ever get stuck somewhere. These are items that you should have with you all the time if you're away from home, and especially if you're outside of town limits somewhere where there's woods. And the items that you're going to need is a piece of wood that you can find where you are, a field knife. Actually, any knife will do, but a fixed blade knife is always best. And you're going to need a little bit of wire. And what I like to carry in most of my kits is the wire, the little green wire that you use for tying plants up and stuff. Because it's good and flexible. It's not going to break as soon as you try to bend it. You can twist it down to a pretty tight knot. It has some strength. And it's green, so it's not big, shiny, hey, here's this brass piece of wire. But anyway, a little bit of craft wire or something like that. And what we're going to make today, oh, you also need an ignition source. And I'm going to be using a ferro rod, but you can use anything that will start fire. When the sun goes down, the temperature drops drastically. Cold is your biggest enemy. You can be uncomfortable, you can be unhappy, you can be whatever, but if your core temperature starts to drop, it will kill you. So this is just a skill to have in your toolbox if you ever find yourself someplace and you need this. So we're going to stop here and we're going to go over and split open a piece of wood. Okay, what I'm about to do is kind of controversial in some circles. There are people that believe batoning should never be done. Usually my rule of thumb is if it can freestand like this, I'd use a hatchet if I had one. If I have to hold it, like if I was trying to do this, there is no good way to hit that with a hatchet that doesn't put my fingers in the line of fire. That's when batoning is good. But for today, we're going to baton because I don't have a hatchet, and I'm talking about what you might have with you on a walk. So you want to line that up close to the handle so that you have some sticking out. One good solid whack. One good solid whack to set it. And then you're just going to
break your baton stick.
Pause.
Take two.
We're back, and I'm going to leave that in because silly happens. When I'm kind of out of it. It's really bright out here. I wasn't paying attention. I asked Jack to get me a piece of softwood from our stash of stuff we are going to be using the lathe on, and he brought me madrone.
I wasn't paying
Madrone
attention.
is like steel-infused concrete. So we're going to be using this piece of wood instead, which actually, this is where batoning really shines, because that will not stand up on its own.
And it's a bit thinner, so the knife fits it better.
But you should never use a softwood as your baton to baton steel-infused concrete madrone. So, one solid shot to set it, And then we're going to just tap it through. Go right through the knot, no worries. Then we're going to take these two pieces and we're going to do the same thing.
If your knife can't handle a piece of redwood knot, then you need a better knife.
Yeah. The fact that my edge did not roll driving it into madrone kind of is impressive. What I'm using today is the Tops Bob. You've heard me talk about it before. You'll hear me talk about it again. I love this knife. This is the knife I would want if I had to go someplace on an unplanned camping excursion. So now we've got our 4 pieces, and they fit back together into a round. Stop. Okay, I have laid this out and I put down my shamag, and the reason for that is this next step we're going to be trimming a little bit of the wood away from half of each of the pieces, and we want to save that because that's going to be the tinder that we put on the top to catch our spark to get this going. What we are building here today, I should have said this earlier, I'm out of order. That sounds good. I need a turkey sandwich. Anyway, we're making a Swiss log. And if you make a Swiss log, these things can burn for a lot longer than the same amount of wood would in a traditional fire. It's also more controllable, and you can dig a small hole and set it down in it so you have better light discipline, and the heat comes straight up instead of going out. So it's more thermodynamically efficient. So we have our 4 pieces of wood that we split, and we have Bob, because Bob is our friend. Bob is dirty, I like that. And about midway on each one of these, we're just going to start shaving, and we want to keep these shavings small, and we're not trying to, oops, I dropped one. We're not trying to remove a ton of material. We're just making the beginning of the combustion chamber. We're also exposing fibers so that it will catch the spark and get the fire going. So I only took out not even a 1/4 inch, maybe like 3/16. And by doing that on all 4 of these, I am starting that combustion chamber. And there's another little trick to making that combustion chamber that we will get to in just a moment. Now, there is an aspect of realism in this today because it is 8:30-ish in the morning and it's about 38 degrees. So my fingers are cold. My fingers are cold and they're not 100% cooperating. And my brain is cold and not 100% cooperating, which is why it took me blowing up my baton to realize I was trying to drive my knife into madrone. Let's see, I have scraped away quite a bit of material here. And when I put these back together, it's not real big, but there is a small hole in there. That's the beginning of my combustion chamber. Now the way I'm going to extend my combustion chamber is with these 2 sticks. And then the importance of this wire. You can see this is some tiny little wire. Doesn't need to be big. It does, however, need to not be wound in on itself. So I'm going to take this wire and I'm going to take my Leatherman tool and there's no precise measurements here. Man, that wire is so small, my Leatherman doesn't want to cut it. There we go. Oh, it's in the little hardwire groove. That's why I didn't want to cut it. I'm batting 1,000 today.
There you go.
That's going to be soaking wet. That's not going to catch anything. If you have dry material around, this is where some moss, some birch bark, foxtails, cattails, anything like that that can be crushed up to fibers can be put in here as well. But we're going to have to rely on the moderately damp that we have here. And as we're constructing this, we're going to put a stick across those two.
Actually, this is about the same moisture, I think. The moss.
Yeah. And we are going to build. This is what happens when your fingers are cold. This is why you have to practice this stuff so that when you're out there and it's important, you'll be able to do it. I am struggling with this because my fingers are cold. I'm just going to take my wire and wrap it around. This also would be made a lot easier if I were doing this with a bigger piece of wood. I just don't want this to actually burn very long because I'm in a park and there's regulations about walking away from fire and laws and common sense and good neighborhood or neighbor rules and all that.
Basically, we got to put it out when we're getting ready to leave.
But I have this way. There we go. Now, if this were a bigger log, it would work better. I need another piece of wire because I missed that one substantially. Did I put that away? I did. Just about this long.
Is that on the hard wire?
Yep. So I'm just going to take this and wrap it around again. And all I have done with the wire is just hold it together so that it doesn't fall apart and scatter as soon as I light it. And now I've got my burn chamber and I've got my wood. Now we're going to have to move over to the firebox that's used for grilling, because even with it wet as it is, I'm not allowed to have open fire here except in the box. Now I've moved this over to the fire pit. I took all of those shavings from when I was opening up the burn chamber and I've got them down inside the little hole. My Tops Bob and most of my field knives will throw a spark from a ferro rod. But I've always said that my Leatherman multi-tool saw back is the best spark thrower I have, and I'm going to use it today, and we're going to drop some sparks down there. Ow. Oh, just to reiterate the fumbliness, you can see how red and unhappy my fingers are. It's because it is chilly out here. Now, you will see people taking their ferro rod and running the striker down the ferro rod. And that's good for showing off how sparky things can be. But if you do that over your fire build, you're more likely to smack it and knock it everywhere, destroying all of the preparation you did. So what I will be doing is pulling the ferro rod back. Now the aim isn't quite as good that way, but it doesn't destroy my fire build. So, whoa, that caught on the first shot.
As you can see, he's blowing on the flame to try and get it to finish catching.
No, don't have the bits that lit fall out. Well, damn it. Cold and moisture working against me here. That was warm. Okay, it is smoldering in there. It will eventually get back into flames. You can see the smoke coming up on it. I don't know, can you see the smoke coming off of it?
I could earlier, I can't at the moment.
It is, oh, sorry, I had to sit down. It is still smoldering. Were I really trying to get this to be a fire that would help me, I would spend more of my ferro rod on it. I might go and try to find more things that I could put in there
That are drier.
that's drier. But for a moment we had fire.
We're also under a redwood canopy after basically the first snow this area's had in 10 years, so
I'm going to stop because it is smoldering. It will eventually catch. Stop it for a second.
though the camera can't see the smoke, I can
Stop
at this
it for-
point.
Okay, so I grabbed a couple more pieces of the shavings that had hit the ground, and I got a little bit of moss from over there that's a little bit drier. Let's try this one more time. Move the walker. There we go. And we have fire on wood. I don't know if you can see the fire very good. But the takeaway on this is that
Okay.
will burn that wood from the inside out. Now, if we were starting with a bigger piece of wood, something about 1 foot in diameter and about 18 inches tall, you can get several good hours out of that one piece of wood. And as it's starting right now to get into the actual wood, not the shavings, if we don't extinguish this, even this will burn for a good 20 minutes or so. I would have liked to have used a bigger piece and shown you, a fire pit, and using this as an evening's fire. And you can cook if you use a saucer, you have a flat top. You can put a pan right over the combustion chamber. You can cook on these. They will keep you warm for the night. And it's one more tool to have in your toolkit in case you ever find yourself someplace you don't want to be. Jack, hand me that piece of paper. Now, on to the part that I said, wait till the end because you're going to want to hear this. The Beard of Doom, destroyer of toilets, an all-around outstanding human being, just hit 1K subscribers on his channel. And he is going to be doing a 1K giveaway, and the entrance to that giveaway is this video. So like this video. If you want to subscribe, I would appreciate it, but I'm not going to say that's mandatory. And down in the comments, say whatever you want to say, but somewhere in that comment, say Doom 1K. And in the message he sent to me, it was all lowercase, so we're going to say Doom 1K in lowercase. And he is going to use comment picker on this video to find his winner. So head over to Doom's channel, check him out. He's got some really wild content. He's a good guy. And make sure that you comment Doom 1K on this. Here, yeah, let me have my water. Before this falls down, because it's very unstable, we're going to make sure that is out. Now just set that inside the burn chamber there. Remember, get out in the woods and practice these skills. As I showed you, I've been making these Swedish logs for almost 50 years. And because my hands are cold and I'm tired and I'm not thinking great, I fumbled on a few things. I've done much better. It's actually easier with bigger logs. But still, get out in the woods and practice your skills. And remember, do something kind for someone. Doesn't have to cost any money. Doesn't have to be a huge effort. Just something to make someone else's day a little bit easier. Have a good evening. Morning. Take care. Talk to you later.